Alright, man, let's do it. Let's react to this. We exposed who really killed Michael Jackson video by TMZ. I know you've never seen my face, you don't know me, but just stay. I promise you it's gonna be cool. Let's get to it.
My brother, legendary king of pop, Michael Jackson, passed away on Thursday.
Michael Jackson died June 25th, 2009 from a drug overdose.
The district attorney has charged Dr. Conrad Murray with involuntary manslaughter.
Guilty.
Dr. Conrad
Wait. Y'all think he did on purpose? Or do y'all think his doctor killed him? Or that it was just an accident?
Murray was held solely responsible for Michael's death.
The court imposes the high term of 4 years imprisonment in this case.
Now, the lead detective in the case says Dr. Murray was just the last doctor of many left holding the bag.
There's a lot of folks who are to blame that have never had a reckoning.
Doctors like Arnold Klein, who regularly plied Michael with powerful opioids.
Massive doses of Demerol were utilized for something that generally doesn't require anything other than maybe a topical anesthetic.
Michael's ex-wife, Debbie Rowe, worked for Dr. Klein for years and says her ex-boss was a real-life Dr. Feelgood.
There's a number of people that have died from their addictions, and in some way I was part of it. Give me a minute.
Turns out Klein was just one of many doctors who put Michael on a fatal path.
All of these different medical professionals that have allowed Michael to get the medicines he wanted, all of them are the reason why he's dead today.
I've taken a lot of blame that was not right, but regardless.
Come on, bro. Spit it out. Talk.
Will always love Michael.
He's lying.
Who really killed Michael Jackson? It's my profession.
I'm 35 and I want to retire by 50 living here in Europe. What should I do?
Okay, so you live in Europe.
I need an ambulance as soon as possible, sir. We have a gentleman here that needs help, and he's not breathing. We're trying to pump him, but he's not. Okay.
We quickly learned from a couple of sources that he went into cardiac arrest.
He was rushed to UCLA Medical Center.
So we started getting word from our sources that Michael Jackson was dead. Dead at the house. So it was really weird that they still rushed him down to UCLA Medical Center. And it was just after 2 in the afternoon that we posted the story. Michael Jackson had died.
TMZ broke the story of his transfer to the hospital this afternoon. The reports we are hearing from TMZ that the era of the King of Pop is over.
TMZ was the first to report this, that Michael Jackson had died.
My brother, the legendary king of pop, Michael Jackson, passed away on Thursday, June 25th.
They kind of get the same voice. His brother kind of sounds like him, right?
Drug enforcement agents, Las Vegas and Los Angeles police.
I mean, oh shit. His brother.
Officers raided the Las Vegas home of Dr. Conrad Murray. A law enforcement source tells CBS News the investigation is centered around the powerful anesthetic propofol. The district attorney has charged Dr. Conrad Murray with involuntary manslaughter in the pop star's death. The coroner ruled Jackson's death a homicide.
We, the jury in the above entitled action, find the defendant, Conrad Robert Murray, guilty of the crime of involuntary manslaughter.
Dr. Conrad Murray may have been the final straw, but it was a straw that broke the camel's back. This was decades in the making. The reality is a bunch of doctors got Michael addicted, kept him addicted, connived with him to keep him strung out. And the fact is, his death, it was almost inevitable.
It's a lot more complicated than just Dr. Murray was at his bedside when he died. Circumstances had been leading up to this death for years. And all of these different medical professionals that allowed Michael to dictate his own terms, get the medicines he wanted when.
Yeah, but you know, I feel like when you become a pop star like this, doctors and stuff are always gonna do weird things to you. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're always gonna give you weird medicines, weird stuff, trying to kill you, trying to.
He want
because like when you reach that level, I feel like everybody wants something from you.
Where,
if that makes sense.
Where he wanted them, all of them are the reason why he's dead today.
Voici 3 bonnes raisons qui vont donner envie à votre équipe commerciale d'utiliser Monday Sales CRM.
My name is Orlando Martinez. I am a detective with the Los Angeles Police Department. Robert to use the drug that he preferred to help him get his rest.
You feel like you've been unjustly accused with Michael Jackson? Because a lot of people feel like you're not guilty. I'm not guilty.
Dr. Murray felt that if he did not help and administer it to Mr. Jackson, that Michael would just go somewhere else to get it. He needed it. He knew about the drug. He knew that it worked for him, and was the one who suggested it to Dr. Murray.
Wait, but he couldn't sleep without it? Like, he needed it every night to go to sleep. Why? His insomnia had been caused by Demirol. Oh, for his skin. Okay.
Actually demanded it.
It was in the last couple of months you were contacted, right, initially by Amir and for this tour.
2 months.
In the last couple months.
2 months.
Okay, you've administered it more than 10 times.
Yes.
More than 20 times.
30 days a month, roughly, every day.
Oh, so it's about the daily.
But daily, with the exception of 3 days leading up to his death, I tried to wean him off that medication.
The criminalist who advised me that the toxicology was showing an extremely large amount of propofol in Michael's system, and that, in his words, he said there was enough propofol in him to put down a rhinoceros. Michael Jackson died of acute propofol intoxication and, I believe, cardiac arrest.
I am Conrad Murray, a subspecialist in cardiology. I was Michael's personal physician.
That's the doctor?
At the latter part of his life. The trial was clearly unjust. We first could not call any witnesses that we were interested in, many of whom were doctors that had treated Michael for years and years, decades, with opioids. I never did that.
One of the spokes in Michael Jackson's wheel was a Beverly Hills doctor by the name of Dr. Arnold Klein. We will not be able to call Dr. Klein as a witness or his staff.
I never enabled his addiction, which I was not aware of. Your Honor, I am an innocent man. They accused me of having Michael on a 3-hour propofol infusion. That was false.
See, but I think that whether he's really guilty or no, they had to give him jail time. I think even if they knew that he wasn't guilty, they would have given him jail time, because I feel like if they wouldn't have done that, people would have just been too mad. Because like that's Michael Jackson. That's not a regular celebrity. You know. So I think that maybe if they gave him jail time just to kind of calm the people, you know, so everybody doesn't just go crazy saying that it's unjust and all of that stuff. But maybe he did it, who knows. But I think that even if he didn't do it, he still would have went to jail.
We had no doubts. That's why we're here.
Michael was watching over us. He was watching over us. Yes, very happy.
The judge denied Murray bail and sent him straight to jail.
The judge is really throwing the book at him.
The court imposes the high term of 4 years imprisonment in this case.
I stayed in the Los Angeles jail for 2 years. I lived in a 7 by 5 feet cell. It was a shattering experience. I was mostly decimated with grief and pain. I lost just about most of what I had set up for my retirement, for my children's future, for a home, my livelihood.
What you mean he lost his money? He basically just said that he lost all his money. How?
Livelihood.
Michael's downward spiral all started when he filmed a Pepsi commercial in 1984. He was on stage as the director called for pyrotechnics to go off all around him. They did take after take after take. Finally, on take 6, they pushed a little too hard, and Michael ended up in harm's way. The pyrotechnics went off, and the flames were licking right at Michael's hair. It caught on fire.
Well, that's the real footage. I've never seen this.
And the flames were licking right at Michael's hair. It caught on fire. It was a horrific scene.
Singer Michael Jackson is back home tonight after suffering burns to his head last night during the filming of a Pepsi TV commercial. Jackson was dismissed from the hospital today against the advice of his doctor.
He has both second and third degree burns of the scalp. Fortunately, the third degree component is relatively small.
Michael's injuries were horrendous. Doctors used balloons to stretch his skin, and honestly, he never fully recovered, and that's when he got hooked on painkillers.
They used balloons to stretch his skin.
Keep in mind, this is 1984, a full quarter century before he died, and he became profoundly addicted to pain meds.
It is completely appropriate for Michael Jackson to receive opiates for a burn. He shouldn't suffer. He should get the necessary pain medication. But to go for months or even years afterwards on opioid pain medications is ridiculous. And there was an excessive enthusiasm in my profession for the prescribing of opiates.
So there's a vicious cycle going on here. The more Michael Jackson recorded hits, the more he toured, and the worse his addiction became. For example, he recorded Thriller. That became the biggest selling album of all time, and that created an insatiable appetite on the part of his fans to want to see him in concert.
He made a quick dash through the door.
This was the scene last night as people arrived plenty early for the long-awaited, sold-out Michael Jackson concert.
Michael! I love Michael Jackson.
I see. That's the thing. I understand fans. I understand that you like a celebrity, you like his music and stuff, but some people are just too invested in other people's business.
I love him so much.
And there was also the Victory Tour, which was the farewell tour for the Jackson 5. And Michael didn't even want to do that tour.
When I do those solo albums and I'm doing all kinds of different music, it's wonderful. I feel like I'm accomplishing what I'm supposed to do.
And you don't feel guilty or worried about your brothers?
No.
But there was so much family pressure. His mom eventually convinced him to do it, and that just made a bad addiction worse.
It happened about an hour ago in Kansas City, the start of what's being billed as the biggest traveling musical show in American history. Some people say that it's more like what happened 20 years ago when the Beatles first played Kansas City. But most of Michael Jackson's fans are too young to remember that. For them, this is the biggest moment in their lives.
And that was followed by the Bad Tour. 16 months of grueling performing and traveling. And by the time the Dangerous Tour hit, Michael was a mess.
When I look at somebody like Michael, I've seen him, the lights have gone out on stage, and he's fallen to the floor in the darkness. Somebody comes out, gives him oxygen, the lights come up, and he's right back ready to hit it.
He was said to be taking oxygen backstage after every second song.
He started canceling tour dates for various illnesses before he just pulled the plug on the entire tour.
Jackson canceled a Friday show in Caracas, Venezuela, and shows scheduled for Sunday and Tuesday in Puerto Rico, and all future dates on the Dangerous Tour.
So here's what was going on behind the scenes. Michael graduated from pain meds to anesthesia. He used it to sleep, and he became shockingly reliant on it. A lot of people were saying privately, Michael's addictions and the cancellation of the Dangerous Tour were directly connected.
I attempted to give him a shot of Demerol, but his buttocks was so scarred up and abscessed that the needle almost bent, in which case at that point in time.
You see what he said? He said, I attempted to give him. That's the thing about medicine. I promise you, these doctors, they just be trying shit on us. I promise. They just be trying things. If it works, it works. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. People often think that doctors just know everything and they never make no mistakes. I promise that every single doctor on earth just be trying things. Because like there's so many different cases that they can't just know everything. So sometimes they just get on the case that they don't know, and they just start trying things. And they start giving you this medicine or that medicine when you don't really need it, and that's how you end up like this. But I feel like this happening to all of us. Like when you go to a doctor, he tells you, okay, you should take this medicine. He doesn't really know if you really need this medicine. He just, that's what he knows. So he tells, okay, try this. That's why I don't believe doctors. I promise you. Like, take care of yourself and try to not go to the hospital and all that stuff, because I think they really be fucking people up.
I ran an IV and I administered some IV pain medication.
And do you recall what IV pain medication you administered?
Morphine.
Michael was on the Dangerous Tour in 1993 in Bangkok, and that's when he asked Dr. Finkelstein to shoot him up with Demerol.
After I took care of Mr. Jackson and he went on stage, another doctor from England came and assumed responsibility for Mr. Jackson. I came back from a trip to the pyramids, and my suitcase, of which I had all my medications in, was broken into. At that time, the doctor, told me that he had broken into my suitcase to get medications.
What specific medication did you break into your suitcase to get?
The pain meds. I don't recall if it was Demerol or morphine or both.
And did he break in to get the pain medication to give it to Mr. Jackson?
Yes. We thought that we needed to do an intervention. He needed to be detoxed. They called in Elizabeth Taylor to do an intervention.
When Michael's doctor called to ask if I could help, I was glad to intervene. I traveled to Mexico City, where I saw for myself that Michael was in desperate need of specialized medical attention. Because of my own experience with addiction to prescription medicines, I was able to make a number of calls in search of the best and most appropriate treatment for Michael, and he is now undergoing such treatment in Europe.
Michael was in such bad shape, he knew he needed help.
Superstar recording artist Michael Jackson says he is canceling the rest of his world concert tour because he's addicted to painkillers.
Superstar Michael Jackson is now in a drug clinic somewhere.
As you may already know, after my tour ended, I remain out of the country undergoing treatment for a dependency on pain medication. This medication was initially prescribed to see the excruciating pain that I was suffering after recent reconstructive surgery on my scalp.
I became increasingly more dependent on the painkillers to get me through the days of my tour. My friends and doctors advised me to seek professional guidance immediately in order to eliminate what has become an addiction. It is time for me to acknowledge my need for treatment in order to regain my health.
It was really only after this we could see the pattern. The overwork, the cancellations. In hindsight, it was so clear.
All these pills were from doctors. He got heavy-duty, very, very strong painkillers, and he took them, unfortunately. He was barely able to function adequately on an intellectual level.
You okay, Mr. Jackson? You want to take a break?
My mouth hurts.
Mr. Jackson, at the break, did you find it necessary to take a pain medication?
Do I find it necessary?
Did you, at the break, did you have to take a pain medication for your pain?
Painkillers were one thing, but Michael had even bigger problems. He couldn't sleep, especially when he was on tour or getting ready for tour. So he went to doctors for help. And it turns out Conrad Murray was late to the game.
He said, Conrad, you know, when I'm on this course, when I'm on the tour, I have difficulty sleeping. And what most doctors have done for me, they help me to sleep for 15 to 18 hours. Michael was
straight, 18 hours straight. No, there's no way.
using propofol to sleep. He had mentioned that that was the only way he could go to sleep, especially when he was getting ready for a tour.
I'm always writing potpourri of music. I never stopped.
He was quite familiar with the product and felt that there was no fear of it. You know, it was not a big deal. He had been using it for decades. Different doctors had given it to him from all around the world, including Germany. And they allowed him to sometimes inject the medicine. He was able to push the propofol himself. And the doctors allowed him to do it. And that was okay.
The day Michael died, he spent hours begging to fall asleep, begging for propofol.
He kept saying that he had to sleep, his shoe was going to fall apart, he needed to sleep.
Michael was desperate, and Murray told detectives that he simply gave in.
I then decided to go ahead and give him some of the medicine so he could get a couple of hours sleep so that he could produce, because I cared about him. I didn't want him to fail.
Hey, your concert got canceled, Mike. When are you gonna have it, Mike?
At the time all this was going on, Michael was going to see Dr. Arnie Klein, the famous Beverly Hills dermatologist. Klein, who died back in 2015, was known as the dermatologist to the stars. All these famous people like Elizabeth Taylor, Carrie Fisher, and so many others went to him for skin treatments. And Michael did as well, and the two became not just close, but best friends. Klein essentially became it as well.
Was he gay? Are those his normal lips, or is he wearing some lip gloss? I think he's wearing lip gloss.
The two became not just close, but best friends. Klein essentially became Michael's Dr. Feelgood.
I think we're gonna stop here. Hope y'all enjoyed it. And I'll drop the part 2 the next day, I think tomorrow. Don't forget to like, subscribe if you want. And yeah, see you, man.